JHK here for the AllStar, and joining me right now from Las Vegas is one half of the Hickman brothers, and you've seen him in the corner of many of the boys from City Kickboxing, the wrestling coach of Alex Volkanovski, Frank Hickman. What's going on, man? It's been a wild week for the team, for yourself. Let's first get into UFC 266 and fight week. How did it start? Was it smooth sailing up until the fight?
First off, thanks for the introduction, brothers. Good to see you. Yeah, I mean, fight week and the weekend, I guess, went as best as it could go. The boys did outstanding, and they brought home 2 victories to their countries. And it was good to see the boys, so from start to finish, it went great. Alex, Joe, and Ash got into Vegas Saturday, so I picked them up from the airport about lunchtime. And then from there, they checked into the hotel, and then we relaxed a bit, went and got a workout in later that night, and then kind of just caught up, shot the shit, chatted a bit, talked how everybody's families were doing, how's everything back home. Australia's in a bit of a rut right now with everything going on. They got Melbourne kicking off, got riots, they got Sydney, New South Wales with cases popping up left and right, all in lockdown again. So they've been in lockdown 7-8 straight weeks. Excuse me. I believe Joe said 13 weeks. So things are a bit difficult over there. So I know they were happy to get over here, get a bit of freedom, and be able to move out and about and just get around how they wanted. So it was good to see everybody. Sunday, same thing. Trained a bit, drove down the strip, had watched some Sunday football, watched a bit of NFL. Trained that night, and then Monday we woke up, they checked into the bubble, and then that's where we were. We were in the bubble since Monday. We went in a bit early. Last time, unfortunately, it fell through. So you don't want to be on the wrong end of that twice. I can promise you that, man. So we checked in early, and, from there we were just like we always do, man. We keep it light. We talk shit on each other. We're back and forth, bantering the whole time, but just seeing how quickly we can get under somebody's skin and see which one breaks first. So that's always a joy. Craig Jones, he came in Thursday morning. He got in. And then Eugene and Dan got in Thursday night. So we went to the PI to train Thursday night, and at about 9 o'clock, I'd say about 8:30, Dan and Eugene came rocking into the PI. And Alex and them were done. So you did a couple rounds with them. I did a round with them. And then sauna a bit, out in and out of the sauna a bit. And then they kicked us out of the PI. We went back, and, man, Dan was off the plane and on weight in 4 hours. So, a lot of people don't know that, man, but he gets it done. He was off the plane and on weight in 4 hours. And I know people were like, man, it was incredible. Like, especially after all they went to get here. But I wasn't surprised for Dan because, man, he's a professional. He does everything right. He knows where he needs to be. He knew probably in his mind how hard it was going to be to get, like, the visa. So he already knew. He was watching his weight. He knew what he needed to be before he got on the plane. He knew probably how much he would lose. And to see him, like, do that, and then, that morning he woke up, I mean, he was on weight. He was on weight before he went to bed. So that was impressive in itself. Volk had a phenomenal weight cut, just a little bit the morning after, the morning of weigh-ins, and it was smooth sailing for him. All week he had great energy all week. He had a lot of, like, pop in whatever he did. At one point Joe kind of had to tell him, like, oh, it's, no, you can take it easy a bit, you know what I mean? So it was a successful fight week build-up, and it was a successful night at 266. That place was going nuts, man. It was rocking. Probably 80-20 Ortega to Volk fans. Could have been even fucking 85-15. They had a lot of, Ortega fans, a lot of Spanish fans in the crowd. Fair one to them, but, Volk enjoys that hostile environment. So, man, what a night to be part of. from everyone.
For sure. And you were in the corner twice that night, like you mentioned, Dan early in the night, and then in the main event, Alex Volkanovski. Let's jump in with Alex first in the main event. Watching that third round, because I think that third round is what fighting was about, man. That's what championship level fighting. That's what it is. That third round, it was incredible. One of the best rounds you'll ever see. On Ortega's side, on Volkanovski's side, it was incredible. For yourself, what was running through your mind during those submission attempts by Ortega?
What was going through my mind was a bit of panic, and I was thinking in my head what I was going to say when I cussed out Craig Jones after. That's what I was thinking of. It was going to be the short. Eugene and I were talking shit to him, say it was going to be the fastest stint of any coach ever. You know what I mean? First and last. But nah, we knew as a coaching, we all knew where Ortega was good. It's no secret. He's a finisher, and he's good in those positions, especially the guillotine and especially the triangle. We knew where he was good. They had prepared for it, but we also knew that was his shot. Like, that was his one moment to where if it was going to happen, then he was going to catch Alex with that. But because we knew on the feet, he really didn't have an answer for Alex. And as you can see, as it went on from start to finish, he didn't. But for those 8 to 12 seconds, man, like, everything just kind of slowed down. When I say slowed down, like, the deafening roar in the crowd, because that was their boy. The deafening roar in that place just was off its head, and I kind of did the squirm in the corner where you don't know where to go, and then like the lady next to me, you kind of grab her and you like duck down behind her and you're looking over, and his legs are kicking. Boof! Then he got it. Boom! And he broke the lock. Oh, great! And it was weird how it happened, man. Like, he threw a kick, he caught it, he kind of turned and fell down. And then as he was coming out, like, all boy just jumped, and he wrapped the legs up so fast. And it was just like, you were watching, and then you're just like, and one of those. And he got out of it, and then, all right, a little sigh of relief. And then he goes back to doing a bit of work on top. And then you see him setting up the triangle, and you're like, and then he gets caught with it. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I'm like, oh, my anxiety was just through the roof. You know what I mean? And I'm like sliding in my chair again. And then he breaks it. And then he tries to stay on top. Didn't get his legs in. He rushed it. And they were slippery, so he slipped out the back. And then he went back to work. And then the third round ends. And look, man, props to Ortega, man. He's a true competitor. He's a hard cunt, as they say. He's had a lot of fights. He's a tough dude. But when he was laying there the way he was for an extra 1, 2, 3, 10, when he was laying there for that amount of time, I don't think Eugene and Joe, because they went in and Craig and I went on the outside, I don't know if they saw them like still laying there. I think they did, but I saw them. Like, I saw them still laying there, and I was like, this dude's either got to get up or that's it. Like, I'm not gonna. But they let him, like, they picked him up. Craig's like leaning over the cage, and Craig's like, because he's tall, he's like leaning over. He's like, it's over. He's like, it's over, like this. And Ortega's coach, like the old fella with the glasses, he was like giving him the thumbs up. He's like, we're good. And I'm just like, and then the crowd just like going nuts, man. But I'm thinking, man, I'm like, yo, this dude just was on his back. Dean's like standing there. And I'm like, all right, this is it. Next minute, they help him up. He gets on his stool. And then there's like his coaches, there's like mad people in front, so you can't see what's going on. So then you got like conspiracy running through your head. You're like, fuck, they're giving this cunt, you know what I mean? What are they doing? And then there was the whole stand up, how many fingers, I don't know. They asked him, I thought they asked him at least 4 times, like, what's the deal? Step forward. He stepped forward. He stumbled a bit. And I was like, oh, that's it. Nope. And then it was this way, look this way, and then you good. And he slurred a bit, and then I heard Dean go, "Oh, he's good to go." I was like, "You sure, big fella?" I was like, "All right." And they went at it again, and then round 4 started, and so there was a bit of controversy for the what happened in the third, definitely the end and then the beginning of the fourth. But looking back now, like they gave the fans an extra 2 rounds. They were both good sports about it, and it was a phenomenal fight, you know. But you know that round was something that where it was just a roller coaster of emotions, man. You know, I'm like, man, we're whooping them for 3 rounds, and then we get caught in this. I'm like, I know we ain't going out like this. And, you know, and then Volk just being the competitor that he is, you know, he put Australia on his back and said, no worries, I got this. Got out again. And then ended the third round in a great fashion. And even though he got out of those, he obviously clearly still won the third. So, you know, looking back, it was when that final bell went off, man, I was like, man, this dude almost gave me a heart attack, you know, because coaching, you deal with that so much of this, like these roller coasters, and every athlete's different with who you go with and encounter. And you never really know what each athlete's capable of until these guys get put into some of these positions. And then you find out like the real dog in them, you know, you find out like who's gritty, who's about it. And, I never thought that Volk would tap. You know, it never crossed my mind like, oh, he's going to tap. But like, I knew Ortega was good, and I knew that there's I don't know, 100+ submissions, and this is his best one, and this is where we found ourselves, you know. So that part was the worrying part. But, you know, looking back now and the way he finished third, and, you know, he came back, and it's like he didn't even sweat it, you know. Fourth round started, and then that's when we had the whole, you know, the eye test and everything like that. How many fingers am I holding up? Purple. Like, you know, people were joking about it and stuff, but it was just a sight to see, man. It was something to see from the side, you know. And then of course everybody behind you. I felt like every UFC fan there, because it was International Fight Week. Every UFC fan or every fighter was all of a sudden like an Ortega fan. They were just like feeding us from every angle. And then it gets even better. We got the guys behind you that like if you're in your chair and like you come up, they give you you gotta sit down, you gotta sit down. Man, they're on you. Like they're on you. Like you go, you gotta sit down, you gotta sit down. Oh, this big fella was like, I was up, you're down. I was up. He was like, you gotta sit down, my man. You got you're watching the locker room. And then like Huge was like getting into him. You just like, big, what do you mean? He's like, blah, blah, blah. And the guy's like, man, you gotta sit down. People behind you can't see you. And we didn't, it's not that we didn't care, but we were just so caught up in it that so this dude was like, for about 2 minutes, he was like all over us. He's like, down. And man, and then we came back, and then obviously afterwards he was like mad cool. I was like, sorry about that, big fella. He's like, no, I know you get caught up in it. So, you know, I mean, honestly, I could give a damn if the people behind us saw what was going on. You got 6 Megatrons throughout the stadium. Like, look at one of them in the arena, but don't, you know, but it was interesting.
What did Craig Jones say to you guys after the submission escapes?
I told you so.
That's it.
Nah, he said, he didn't really say. Craig gives great advice. You know what I mean? He's the best in the world at what he does, but he gives great advice. And he had just afterwards, I went up to him and like when we got there, I grabbed him because when we get to that point, Eugene does the talking, Joe does the talking, Uncle Joe, they're talking. I just listen. And I looked at him and I was like, that was tight. Yeah. He goes, yeah, it was tight. He goes, but it was never like in that much of a danger at one point, especially with the triangle. And then, cause I was like, even the triangle, he's like, oh, he goes, we had a bit of a hole with the triangle. He's like, so it wasn't as tight as the guillotine. And I'm like, all right, that makes me feel better. I was like, nice, Craig. I like where your head's at. You know, but he did the same thing I did, man. Like he kind of went down and then he started to say something, and I was just like, louder, Craig, louder, you know. So he just a bit of panic there for a bit, man, but got through it.
Part of the game. Now, you know, afterwards, you know, everybody's giving Volkanovski credit to Ortega, and then Henry Cejudo comes out right after the fight, calling out Volkanovski again, you know, and pretty much pleading for this title fight because that's the only way he wants to come back is at featherweight to go for that third championship belt. Do you think the UFC should give him that fight? Do you think
No,
timeline-wise it'd work out for Volkanovski?
I don't. I don't think he should jump to the line. I don't think you should jump the line. I think there is rankings for a reason. If people could just do what they do, there would be no need for rankings, and it would just put everybody's name in a hat and draw it. And I think, in my opinion, it's not the way to go about it. You know, there's plenty of people that have fought for years to get to the position they were in. You know, the guy started at 25, the guy went up to 35, and now he's retired for over a year, and he wants to come back and fight 45. If you want to do that, great. And listen, he's a great competitor. You know, he's an Olympic champ, 2-time division champ. You can't take anything away from the guy. He's a great competitor, but have 2 fights at 145. If you do that, then you have an argument for it. You know, fight one of these top 5 guys, and if you beat them, then you have an argument for it. But to say he's going to come back after a year of being, you know, of watching the fights and stuff like that, and, you know, coaching and stuff, and then just jump to the front, I don't agree with it. And I don't think the UFC would agree with it either. I don't think really Dana would agree with that. I mean, I think that they have a pretty clear vision and path of what they want next. And that's the winner of Yair Rodriguez and Max Holloway. And, you know, that's going to be a competitive, good fight. And I think those guys know what's at stake for that fight. They realize what's in front of them, and that's a title shot. So I do think it's going to be a competitive fight. And that's what should be next. Not Henry Cejudo, you know, no disrespect, but again, they have these rankings for a reason, and you would have to win a fight, wait your turn in the top 5, and then go from there. And if that's something they want to do, I'm sure that's something that they'll tell them and lay out for them and say, hey, here's how we're going to go about it. But that's it anyway, you know what I mean? To just kind of like jump in and say, oh, you know, I want to fight this dude for the belt. Well, you got to have some sort of synopsis on how you want to go about that, you know? So that's my 2 cents. But, you know, I knew that was going to be an issue that would come up. And, you know, you got to give credit to him, as Volk calls him, the germ or whatever. But, you know, and it's good for media, man. It's good to get the people like spinning and everybody bites on it and stuff like that and stuff. But, you know, they're going to do they're going to go about it, how they want to go about it, which makes the most financial sense and also gives the fans what they want. But at the end of the day, it's what makes the most sense financially for them.
Yeah,
you know,
the most sense for sure. Like you said, not sense as in SENSE, it's CENTS. That sense, right? So
that's it.
Now, earlier in the night, you were in the corner of Dan Hooker. Of course, he went through that whole incredible journey. So did his opponent, Nasrat. You know, I mean, he had pretty much the same situation. And Dan came out and became, a lot of people thought he became a wrestler, but he's been wrestling for a long time. You know, you've been in many, many camps. You've been in City Kickboxing many, many times in the training room, grinding with Dan, wrestling with him all the time, just like you do with Alex or Izzy or anybody at that camp.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So it wasn't a surprise to you when you were watching him wrestle?
Nah, it wasn't. You know, I've said this many times again. When it comes to City, I'm the assistant wrestling coach. You know, Andre Paulette, the Romanian, he's the other half of the Ukrainian weight cut team, him and I. He's their head wrestling coach, and he does a phenomenal job. I'm more of a body when I go over, and I also show a different style, you know, more of a folk style. And he does a great job with them. And I've, you know, first time I went over there in 2019, we wrestled, and I've always thought Dan's been able to wrestle. He's always been very hard to take down, hard to control, and he's sneaky himself. He knows how to wrestle and can take guys down himself. So like when I saw how his wrestling and stuff, I wasn't surprised at all. You know, I knew what he was capable of. I knew that Andre and the boys in that had him tuned up, dialed in, even though he didn't train with the team for quite some time. That's muscle memory that you don't lose over time. And I knew, you know, if it wanted to go to the takedown game, I knew he was going to beat him at the takedown game. And, you know, obviously he beat him on his feet. And he got the takedowns when he needed to. You know, he secured the one with about a minute and a half and left in the second. Then he got a big one in the third, and then, as soon as the guy got up, you got another one on him. And that was like a sneaky little presence how he did it. Slipped in, got his head out the back, and that was just the icing on the cake for that. So as far as Dan Hooker's wrestling goes, he's right where he needs to be because he's good at it.
For sure. And days later, he takes the fight against Islam. He's going to step in at UFC 267. And I just wanted to get your initial thoughts on that matchup, you know what I mean? Because Islam is touted as this second coming of Khabib.
Yeah, I think he's 20-1, or he's 21-1. Like I told you earlier, I was just watching some of his last fight with Thiago Moises. There's not much to say. He's a great competitor. He's a good fighter. He comes from that combat sambo. He's a world champ at it. He's a European champ. He has great credentials. I don't think he's lost in the UFC. He's on a hot streak. Everybody knows where he's good. And where he's good, he's good. But I think this is a great matchup for Dan. I think frame-wise, lankiness-wise, ability to scramble, it's a good matchup. And I know that Islam is a heavy favorite, but I reckon he hasn't faced somebody with Dan's caliber who can kind of put everything together like Dan can. So this is going to be an interesting fight. It's probably going to be a chess match type of a fight, which most of them at this level are, especially when you get to that top 10, top 8 echelon of these weight classes. So it'll be an interesting fight to watch, to see, again, to train for, however you want to go about it. But just amazes me, man, that Dan goes through all this, comes over, makes weight off the plane, 4 hours, fights, unanimous decision, landslided a guy. It's here another week till Saturday, and just says that's his voucher to get home. That's his ticket to get home, right? Jenna Fabian's been over here. The girl that went down to train been over here. They don't know when they're getting back. When the boys come into Simmer, they don't have a voucher yet. They don't know when they're getting back. Huge was lucky. He had his voucher. Dan had his voucher, and then Dan said, nah, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go fight this dude in Abu Dhabi. Nobody wants to fight him. The boogeyman of the division, as you would say. And Dan said, yeah, I'll do this fight. I guess I'll put everything else on the back burner because I don't know when I'm going to, get back, see his family, get back to his gym. So, I mean, what a true testament of what he's really about, no bullshit, no games, went at it head on. So he's got just about right at 3 weeks, I believe, to train, 3 weeks and then weekend stuff, a bit of travel and then just over to Abu Dhabi. So yeah, man, hit the ground running, just keep this momentum rolling.
Islam, he brings that combat sambo, and when you look at that style versus, let's say, the wrestling style of the folks wrestling style of North America versus that style, what do you see in there? What are the little nuances, the little differences for the people that don't really realize the difference in that?
A lot of it is, from my opinion, is control. How you can control a guy, the different positional work and stuff. But Dagestan has the best wrestlers in the world. They represent a lot of the Russian team. Excuse me. What is it? The Committee of Russia, the ROC, Russian Olympic Committee. The boys couldn't represent Russia how they wanted to, so they had to go about it the political way. But, a lot of that team is represented by Dagestan and stuff like that. They got tremendous wrestlers. So, even though it's a different kind of style, it all can kind of correlate. But, again, I think with Dan's frame and his lankiness, it brings a lot of struggle to some of these guys. And I think this is an example of something that could, be a long night for old boy. But he's going to be prepared like he always is. He'll have his coaching staff and they know what they need to do. And Dan will have his coaching staff and they know what they need to do. So this will be a good fight. I think this is something everybody's really looking forward to.
You've made a few trips out to Russia, to Chechnya, I believe, not to Dagestan, right? So you know
Now,
the whole system. You've been around some of the best wrestlers in that region, trained with them. I feel like that's a huge benefit for Dan to have you in this camp.
I think just, I mean, in general, just from a wrestling point of view, I mean, if you're fighting a high level wrestler, anytime you can have, it's me, and then there's going to be a couple other boys that like we'll have that used to wrestle in college that'll be, doing some wrestling and that, and just bodies, just my, positional work, or just the more repetitions, build the lungs, build the gas tank and stuff. Dan's already in good nick already. He's already in good form, good nick from his last camp and fight, and we just had like 3-4 days where he kind of let his body heal a bit, and then now, as of today, we were back into it. As of yesterday, we were back into it. Last night we were back into it. So we'll keep it going, and keep wrestling to where we need to be, or where we think we'll be. So when we get to these positions, we've been there before. Same thing he would do at City Kickboxing and the rest of those boys. It's just now it's just kind of a couple different faces, that could maybe be something he hadn't seen before, which could be an advantage, But yeah, Grozny was where I went, so I'm good with the boys in Grozny. I don't know about the boys in Makhachkala, but now I know a couple of the boys. They're all good people out there, But again, it's be the brushes versus the boys, so we'll see how it goes.
For sure. And so are you guys doing most of your camp at Syndicate? I seen Dan is out there training there, and the PI, is that the combination?
It's whatever Dan wants to do, The focus right now is what's best for Dan. I know I teach wrestling in the evenings at Syndicate. We'll do a bit there, I'm assuming, but whatever he wants to do. If we need to go to the PI and do that, and the treatment and stuff, use the facilities, I'm sure we'll definitely use the facilities there quite a bit. Yeah, we'll iron out the plan. Well, I've spoken a couple of times with Coach Behrman, big, huge, and we'll go from there. Like, all the coaches will, in a chat, we'll discuss and say, hey, here's how we're going to go about things, and then we'll just cater to that. And then main focus is making sure he's ready to go and staying sharp. And then everything else you kind of put on the back burners of that. Not on the back burners, but that's the first priority, here moving forward.
City Kickboxing, Israel, Dan, they've been talking about moving the team to the States. What are your thoughts on that? You're already over there, so you would welcome that. And, where would be a good place for the whole team to move? That's a big question, right? Because
wherever the boys think's best, wherever the team comes up with what works out best for them and their families, is where they'll move, So these coaches that keep asking me where I think they're gonna go and shit like that, brother, I don't know, and it's not my decision to make. They'll make this decision what's based for them, for their camp, for their team, for their family, for their financials. And that's it. But I believe, Eugene answered the question. He said in the interview today, he goes, we won't go to a gym. We'll take 10, the amount of whatever, and that's the gym. And, they'll find a space. They'll find like a facility or whatever that works. And that's how they'll go about it, Again, in the interview, Eugene said, he says, look, for years, we've practiced for these guys in these gyms and stuff. I'm not just gonna go walking up in these gyms to train, He's like, we'll find what works best for us, and we'll come. And that's whether it's Vegas, Colorado, Mississippi, Alabama, Roll Tide, North Carolina, Texas. Who knows? That's something they'll make. And I'll get the in the group chat, the text or the ring. Here's what we're doing. Perfect. Can't wait to see you. And then that's how we'll go about it. But, it's a shame, honestly, man. It's a shame that it's had to come to this. And again, nothing's final. But, the way New Zealand's gone about it and stuff like that, and the guys aren't even asking for, like, favors. They're not. They'll do the quarantine. They said that, but they want the ability to fly out when they need to and fly in when they need to. And they'll do the quarantine. They don't want any hands out from that point of view, from that perspective. They don't want any freebies of that. They've been doing it all. You just probably done what? This is like his 8th quarantine, I believe, or 7th quarantine. That's insane. That's not the issue. The issue is leaving and getting in back in when they need to. And if that can be addressed and handled, then, there might not be a need for it. But, how they're going about and how they're handling this, it is a bit disheartening, and it is kind of a shame to watch. You know what I mean? Because you shouldn't have to make your best athletes like Hoka. Israel has stopped and made people like really recognize, and these boys have made people really recognize combat athletics, combat sports on this side of the world. Same with Volk, same with Brad, same with Kai, all the boys. They made people stop and realize and watch like that small spot of Australia, that small bit of New Zealand, and how they've done this. And then to now turn around and say, oh, well, they're just using it, their platform is favored. That's not the issue at all, man. They just, anybody can see like what's going on. They just want to be able to come freely in that, if you're going to do these sports like this, why are they not considered a sport at the same level? All Blacks are phenomenal, but so is CKB. The Silver Ferns, great. Cricket, great. What about the boys as well? They bring economical capital and growth to New Zealand. They pack out arenas. They have X amount of eyes watching them and supporting them and backing them when they fight. You know what I mean? Just like the same thing the boys do when they watch the other sports teams play, So, it's a two-way street, not a highway and a bike path. And again, that's just a bit disheartening to watch it kind of shake out and unfold the way it has. But, hopefully they come to an agreement and some sort of resolution within X amount of time, because America's pumping. Fortunately, New Zealand at the moment, and same with Australia, man. Those people, they don't have the same accessibility and capabilities that we have over here in America. So, when they were over here, man, they loved it. Fuck, they were like, I don't want to go back. I said, I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to go back either, man. I've done two 2-week quarantines in Thailand. After about 3 days of the first one, you're like, fuck, I'm over this,
Yeah.
So.
For yourself, of course, you're working with Dan. You're coaching at Syndicate, doing some of the wrestling classes over there. Coming up, who else have you been working with and have fights?
My girl Casey O'Neill fights this weekend. Casey's 7-0, I believe. I hope that's right. I hope I said that right. She's 7-0, and she's fighting a very tough opponent of Antonina Shevchenko. So that'll be an interesting matchup for sure. I'm excited to watch her and see her perform there. Dan fights at the end of the month. And then in November, Loma fights. And I believe JoJo Calderwood fights as well. She's a girl that I kind of helped a bit. So we'll see how that goes. I'm excited for those two fights. Really, anybody from the gym that fights, man, that has a fight coming up, obviously I'm interested in. And whether I've like really helped them one-on-one, or I've just like in the wrestling class just saying, oh, here's how you fix this, or kind of watch them progress a bit. That's good to watch. Some of the boys fight in December. They're saying Brad and Rafa's going to be a huge one. Yeah, man, what a fight that's going to be. And then, Kai and Garbrandt, that's another one. So you just got to stay active up to these next couple months. That's what it's about, man. And just keep trucking away, man. Keep building the brand. Big things coming in Thailand, as you know. So just staying in the mix and enjoying it while I can. Syndicate's been great. Coach Wood's been awesome. Piles has been awesome. Frank Mir, they've been great. So they got a good thing going there. The gym's getting bigger. They expanded it. It's good to see. And, they're getting a lot of good faces in. Vegas right now is a good hub for everything because of there's really no protocols. And you can come over and use the facilities however you want. You know what I mean? So you see ample amounts of fighters and faces coming through.
Brad versus Rafa. How torn are you with this matchup? This was a matchup that a lot of people thought would never happen unless it got to like they're both in the top 5 and they have to
That's
fight
what I
each
thought.
other.
Yeah, I thought maybe it'd be for a title fight eventually, like winner gets into the title shot, or for a title shot. Yeah, it's a difficult one. You know, they're both obviously my boys. I got a lot of love for both of them, but you know, I figured sooner or later this would happen. Didn't think it would be this soon, but you know, people have asked me who's the winner in this. I think the fans are the winners in this one, man. The fans are the ones that are going to be really blown away by the high level striking and IQ that you'll see both these dudes put on. So I'm nervous and anxious for that one and looking forward to it.
Me too, man. I think that's one of the biggest fights towards the end of the year. That's not a title fight. Everybody's
Yeah.
looking forward to that. Just fire matchup.
Yeah.
Will you be in the corner of any of those guys?
Nah, I don't think so. If I do, it'll be last minute maybe, or I'm gonna try to stay away from that one. I'm gonna sit my ass in the crowd and enjoy it, you know, from that perspective. Or I might even just watch it at TV at the house. But yeah, that's gonna be a good one, man. Again, it's a win-win for me, man. Both those guys I've seen come up through it and seen grow tremendously in the sport, and the accomplishments they made and the performances and the bonuses they put through. And man, they just really made a name for themselves. So to see them kind of go in there together and mix it up it'll be a movie in itself.
After the fights, you guys, the next day, you
Yeah.
guys were at the Raider game.
Raider Nation.
Yeah, Are you a Raiders fan now? What's going on with that?
I'm not. If I had to pick a team, I'd probably say I'm the Falcons or the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
But when we went to this thing, man, obviously we were bodies were hurting a bit from the night before. So we're like walking there. It was about like a quarter of a mile, maybe half a mile from the hotel. So it was pretty close. And we're walking and the boys are like, fuck, it's too hot for this. It's too hot. And I'm just like, boys, I think this is inside. Like, I think the dome's like covers it. And they're like, whoa, what? So we go through like 2 checkpoints, get these 2 wristbands, and we walk and we like kind of slide down the door and we see like the end zone. I'm like, damn, this is dope. Then we get like the middle of the end zone. And then they walk us forward, and there's like 5 girls standing there. It says champ. They each got a, you know, CHE. Oh, bro. And you walk out like it's covered, right? And then you walk, but you realize where it's covered, that's all seats, like going up and back. So then you walk out, and there's like the big booth couch, and there's just like you turn around, and there's people, and then there's people like everywhere, man. And I was just like, bro, this is insane. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This is like my first time I've ever been in an NFL game. So I was just like, wow. And then the game goes into overtime, and they had a safety. They had overtime. They almost had like a scrap on the field. Boys got another win, so they're 4-0. Shout outs to Max Crosby. It was insane. It really was like, I think a once in a lifetime type thing. Like it was incredible, man. I didn't think it was gonna be like that. Like when we were like, oh, the boys got tickets. They're like, yeah, y'all got a booth. I'm like, oh, we got a booth, boys. I'm thinking we're gonna be like up in the boxes, like booth, like free booze, free food, great. Nah, boys really outdid themselves this time because they put us right down there in the right in the end zone in the back, and man. And then of course it was awesome to see Vault finally get the love that he got, and like they like put the camera on him, and he had like the belt, and then he had like the beer in his hand, and like everybody got behind him, and like Hooker was in the background, you know what I mean? So it was good. He was one for the books, man.
What were you saying to Dan? Because you got up after he got up.
I think I said, "Mama, we made it." I was like, "We're on the big screen, brother, like this." And he was, it was good. Fuck, I don't know. I think that's what I said. I could be off because I was that like just fired up. I was that locked in, and like Joe was beside me. And anytime I'm around Joe and like an event like this, like he just gets me excited as well. He gets all giddy and stuff like that. So fuck, man, it was good. Everybody had a good time. Like, You could not have a bad time at this place. With the way the boys did, you couldn't have a shitty time. You couldn't be mad at anything, and we weren't.
Was it the first time they went to an NFL game too?
Yeah,
All
first
of
time
them?
anybody.
Uh,
Ash had been to one before. I've never been to one. I've been to a college football game, but I've never been to one of those. And man, it was exciting. Again, that place was rocking. Man, that place was good. It was like nice, and there was nice weather inside. Like it was AC'd. I don't know how they air conditioned that whole dome, but they do a good job of it.
it's great to see Alex getting some more shine. Getting himself on the jumbotron, and it's just great to see the boys from this side of the world doing
Yeah.
it big on that side of the world.
Yes,
And
that's what it was exciting to see, man. It was finally exciting to see them getting the love from the American crowd, the proper, like the ones that probably mean the most. That's the crowd that you need to win over, and they're winning them over. When we walked out for a day, man, they introduced them. That place was going nuts. Like they love a bit of hooker, like they love it, and so it's good to see them getting that recognition, man. Says I hope it stays that way. I hope they keep getting love from this side of the world.
Dan has become like this figure in the UFC now. It's like he's gonna be with the UFC forever. Like he's done so much for them, stepping in, going through all these hoops. He's almost at that level of like a Cowboy Cerrone, in fan friendly type of fighter, right? Do you feel like that?
Yeah, man, I think he's done tremendous amounts of favors for the UFC. Short notice fights, stepping into fights, overcoming visa issues and obstacles, quarantine issues, not getting back in on time, waiting, figuring out what he needs to do, not having an answer to stuff. And every time, man, he showed up, made weight, and goes in there and has a fight. So, I bet they wish they had 100 Dan Hookers. You know what I mean? I bet the UFC really wishes they had a lot of him. So
Yeah, well, there's only one Dan Hooker, and he's gonna
that's
be
true.
fighting real soon. You're gonna be there. You're gonna fly out with him, and it's gonna be an incredible journey. Just in that in itself, a short camp, and you head to Abu Dhabi to fight one of the best in the world, a
Yeah.
guy that nobody wants to fight, and if he beats him, Dan becomes the boogeyman now, right? There's no
Yes.
questions.
No questions about it, man. When he beats him, he'll become the boogeyman. Um, yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. It's an exciting 3 weeks, exciting month coming up. Looking forward to it.